Gaming Geek here with a video trying to answer the question, should you do the Update 1.1 pack from Succubus Publishing for the game Middara? If you don't want to watch the rest of the video, let me go ahead and answer and say no, you shouldn't. At least most of you shouldn't. But if you want to know why and the reasons for how I came to that conclusion, go ahead and watch the rest of the video as I outline my reasons for why you don't really need to do that. Most of you. Some of you, it will be good for you to do, but 90% of you, I think, do not need to do the Update 1.1. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to my Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. If you're interested in checking that out, go ahead and click below in the descriptions to my link for my Patreon page. Every month we have a game or 3D printed terrain giveaway. And so if you're interested in being a part of that, go ahead and check that out. Otherwise, let's go ahead and dive in to trying to answer this question. And the reason why I'm making this video is because I was asking that same question. Succubus Publishing recently made available all of the update cards and rules for 1.1, and I was really torn whether or not I should go ahead and pull the trigger and make the upgrade. Let me go ahead and share with you a little bit my reasons why I think you might want to do that and the reasons for why you won't. So let me go ahead and explain to those of you who don't know what Middara is. Back in May of 2015, there was a Kickstarter, the original Kickstarter for this game, and many have described this game as a JRPG in a box. It's a narrative, story-driven game, and that's what I love about it. This reminds me of my favorite JRPG that I played on PlayStation 2, which was Dragon Quest VIII. I loved that game. If you're into RPGs where you are leveling up, you have a lot of variability and upgrade trees, and the story, which is amazing. This game is really centered on the story, which is what I love about this game the most. So I jumped in on the original Kickstarter, and there was about 3,000 of us who helped back the game and make it a success. They raised about $343,000 in the original Kickstarter, and so we were pretty happy. So this was back in 2015, and they were supposed to deliver about a year later in March of 2016. Well, there was a 3-year delay. Now, I don't mind when Kickstarters are delayed. If you look at Kingdom Death Monster, if you look at Shadows of Brimstone, as long as the final deliverable is a really good quality game, I would much rather have something delayed rather than something that is rushed just to meet their fulfillment deadline. Middara first came. I was super happy that the game and the amount of content, most of this is story content, I was super happy about it. So after delivery of the first Kickstarter in March of 2019, very soon after, in June of the same year, they launched their second Kickstarter, and this time around there was 11,000 backers and they raised about $2.5 million. So very successful. But in the meantime, those of us who received the first game realized that the game as is was too easy, that the heroes were a little bit overpowered, and that the bosses in particular were underpowered. And so kudos to Succubus Publishing, who creates this game. They really received a lot of input from the gaming community and took that in and revamped the rules. They made some initial immediate tweaks that helped out, but over the course of the next 8 months, they came out with 1.1, which is the new rule set. And it isn't just tweaking a little bit here, a little bit there. They made significant changes to some of the gameplay mechanics. In particular, the summoning was revamped. How the monsters work, some of that was also revamped to make them a little bit more tough. And some of the broken rules, especially flanking and backstab, was nerfed. And so I think all of those changes are really, really good. That's where my dilemma came in on whether or not I wanted to wait until and play with the original rule set, or whether or not I wanted to update right now, because I knew once I received the update pack in May, I would want to switch it up again anyway. So that's where my dilemma came in. And the reason why the finalized update is happening now in November of 2019 is because they have to send it to the printers in order to fulfill in May of 2020. So kudos to Succubus Publishing, because now all of that updated material is available on their website for anyone to download if they want to choose to update their components. Now, just to be clear, those of you who went in on the second Kickstarter and you haven't received your game yet, all of you are going to receive the new updated rule set 1.1. That's going to come in all of the games in May and moving forward when final delivery happens in December of 2021. So you don't need to worry about that. And for those of us who kickstarted the original, as long as we got in on the update pack for the second Kickstarter, we too are going to receive all of the replacement cards and all of the components when it is delivered in May of 2020. So without doing anything, you're going to get all of the material anyway. So that's great. But do you want to wait, and should you update now? So as I said at the beginning of the video, 90% of you, I say the answer is no. And here's the reason why. The game as is really, really fun. Because the game is primarily a story. Think about a video game with a lot of cutscenes, because I love cutscenes, right? In the same way, Middara, the gameplay and the battles and all that kind of stuff, it is fun and it is not a broken system. And for most people, I would argue, they would rather a game be too simple and where they're able to destroy stuff and gain a lot of loot and be able to upgrade stuff. That is more enjoyable than a game being too hard. Now, I like harder games, I have to admit that. You know, Kingdom Death Monster is one of the hardest games that I've ever played, and as I mentioned in other videos, my gaming group have gone through 4 campaigns of Kingdom Death Monster, and every single time we have lost our settlement. And so I love that game. But I also like Middara because of the story. The story is so engrossing, you get involved with the characters. And so as is, I think the game is going to be perfectly fine for most people. For 90% of you, I would say it is not worth the trouble of printing out everything, of replacing your cards, figuring out which cards you're going to want to do, spending the money or the time to do that. And in fact, I think there are a couple of tweaks that everyone can do in order to make the game fun if you are looking for a more challenging experience. Just a couple of tweaks that won't cost a lot of money or won't be the full shebang of upgrading to 1.1. So there are 4 things that you can do. The first one everyone should do, and that is to print out the new Rook character card. This, out of the 4 characters when you're first starting off, Rook is the least fun to play because he is so slow and he has so little damage output. Rook really needed a little bit of an upgrade, and that's what happens with this update, is his encumbrance from having heavy weapons has been lifted, and he does a little bit more than what he did before. And so I think everyone should definitely print out his updated card and replace this one. Remy also got an update on her adventure card. I think that's more optional. I think you can play her as is. The second thing that you want to do if you're looking for a more challenging experience is go ahead and print out the Intelligent Monsters cards. And so all of the Intelligent Monsters got upgraded and updated to be a little bit more tougher than their original. And so go ahead and print those out and just replace those, and I think that will give you more of a challenge just right off the bat. And then third, if you're looking for even more of a challenge on top of that, go ahead and print out the alternate monster cards. And so there are 8 pages of the alternate monsters. Go ahead and print those out. You don't have to print out the back. There's only a little blurb at the bottom that you can just reference a PDF version online in order to know when you use the alternate monster cards. They will give you more of a challenge than the base monsters as well. And then finally, adopt the new flanking and backstab rules. I think that is way overpowered, so much so that really, why would anyone take any other attack option other than flanking and backstab, because it was so overpowered. So what they did to nerf it was the flanking bonus is now just a +1 to your attack roll with no damage modifier. And then with backstab, you still get the +1, same flanking bonus to your attack, but you only get a +3 to your damage on top of that. And so I'm really thankful that they nerfed the flanking and backstab, so go ahead and adopt those. So if you do those 3 things, then I think it will balance the game a little bit more and make the monsters enough tougher that even using the base rules, I think it's going to be challenge enough. And so again, for 90% of you, if you do that, I think you're going to be happy and you're going to be good. So how do you know whether or not you are the 10% of people who would probably enjoy upgrading to the full 1.1 pack. So here are a couple of characteristics that I'm just going to read out. And if these characteristics pertain to you, then I think, yes, you are the type of person where you do want to go the full shebang and upgrade everything with the 1.1 pack. The first one is that you are not that far into the game or you haven't started the campaign yet. Because you don't want to suddenly change up the rules or change up the items that you've been used to, I think at the beginning, the more you are at the beginning of the game, the easier it is to adopt these new rules and new cards. The second thing is, are you a completionist? Or another way to say it is, are you sort of anal about your games and OCD? Will it bug you that you know that there's going to be a rule set change that's coming in the future that you're going to get, but it bugs you that you are not able to do that now? So if that's the case, then 1.1 might be for you. Third thing, and this is really important, do you like organizing games? I love organizing games. I spend probably more time figuring out how to organize my games and manage my games than I play them. If you haven't seen my video of how I use my 3D printer to organize the components in this game, go ahead and click here and check that out. But I actually enjoy coming up with systems in making and managing games. The way that you know whether you are like that and a little bit OCD is you've already sleeved your cards. As you can see here, I even sleeved my character cards, and I'm so glad that in the second Kickstarter they're going to have actual sleeves that fit these, because right now, as you see, I have about a ½ inch and it drives me crazy that it doesn't fit these cards perfectly. But if you're going to upgrade, you do want to sleeve your cards because you're going to be printing out just one side and slipping it in to take advantage of the back sides of the cards so that you don't have to print those out again. So if you like organizing, 1.1 might be for you because it's going to come at a cost. The first cost is money. If you print out everything that you're going to need to update all of your cards, it's going to cost you at least $50 to $75 in color copies. Now you might have access to a color printer, or maybe at work you do, or something like that, but I went and printed at a place where it was 60 cents per page, and it cost me about $50. So it's going to cost you money, right? And this is for components that I'm going to get later on that I already paid for in the second Kickstarter back in May, but I didn't want to wait. So I went ahead and paid that money to do that. Secondly, not only is it going to cost you money, but it's also going to cost you about 10 to 12 hours of time finding and replacing all of your cards, because they include cards that you don't need to replace. I think they just sent us the print set that they're going to send off to the printers, and they didn't differentiate which ones needed replacing and which ones didn't. I think with some of the monster cards they did that, but disciplines, they sent all the disciplines. The monster upgrade cards, I think they sent everything. And so you need to sort through and figure out which ones you actually need and which ones you don't. Like here's a bunch of disciplines and item cards that I didn't need to upgrade because there really wasn't a change. And so you need to sort through that as well. And cutting these things takes forever too. Also, because you're going to be doing a lot of cutting, you want a paper cutter, right? I have this guillotine style paper cutter. This saved me a ton of time. Because I am OCD and I want straight cuts, it would take me forever to just use scissors. So you want access to one of these. So if those characteristics pertain to you, if they apply to you, then yes, you're in the 10% of those who already own this game, and you don't want to wait until May of 2020, and you should go ahead and dive in and make the change now. And for those of you who fit in that category, if you're still with me in this video, let me go ahead and give you just a couple of tips after having gone through the process that will make this process a little bit less painful. The first one, do not print the rule book. The rule book is 76 pages long. You don't really need to print that out. Because it's available, just use your iPad or your computer and you can scroll through and check out the stuff that you need. Because I created this quick reference cards that has most of the important rules on here. This is the 1.1 rules. And so as soon as Board Game Geek and Succubus Publishing approves my quick reference cards. I'm going to make them available on BGG in the file section. Again, link below in the descriptions. Download these and use these. So you can save a lot of money because that's another almost $50 in color prints that you're going to make for the rules. The second thing to do is I would wait until the end of November 2019 once all of the updated files are uploaded on Succubus's website. I contacted them and asked them, and they pretty much said all of the content right now is updated, and that's why I went ahead and printed it out. But some of the graphics and a little bit of editing still needs to go in before the cards are all finalized and ready to go, and they said that they're going to make that available on their website at the end of November. Third, don't print all of your store item cards at once. Only print out the ones on the level that you unlock. And so what I did was, because we're just starting out in my campaign, I only printed out the mundane cards. And so that's going to spread out some of the pain of both time and money, where you're only printing out the next level once you hit that spot. Only print out the backs of the item cards that have the tag double in them, because the other backs of the store item cards are just labels for what they are, and you're just going to slip them in again with the sleeve cards, and you're utilizing the backs to the first edition cards anyway. It's only the items that have the double tag where it has different characteristics, where it's been edited on both sides. You only need to print out the sheets for the backs of those. When you print out your token sheet, print them out on these sticker pages. And this is what I did, was I have 8.5 by 11 sticker pages, full page sticker sheets, and I printed it out on here, and that made it so that I could easily stick them onto these condition tokens, and it's only courage, paralyzed, poison, and wilt that's been updated. And so I was able to just cut them out in squares and easily replace what was previously on there, as well as creating a couple of new tokens that they came out with. So for example, this energy token, which wasn't a part of the first print, I went ahead and, as there are stickers, I was able to stick them onto 1-inch washers that I got from Lowe's. And so I do have a 1-inch punch that made it really easy to punch these out, and I was able to stick these double-sided onto these washers. And also, it's helpful to know that the item upgrades as is do not have the backs available. And again, I'm hoping that by the end of November, the backs to the monster upgrades or item upgrades will be available for them. And Succubus Publishing, I did reach out to them. They did say that all of the item upgrade cards are going to replace the current cards. And so that's the plan moving forward. The other thing to realize is that some of the disciplines have changed schools. And so as I was figuring out which ones to replace, I thought that they had come out with new disciplines, but actually some of the disciplines switched schools. So just realize that that was a little bit confusing when I was doing my upgrade. And then also there are 3 new conduit creatures. As I was switching out the conduits, again, there was 3 creatures that I didn't find the backs for. Just realize that that's the case, and that'll help you out. So that's pretty much it for all of my tips, as well as reasons for why you should or you shouldn't update to 1.1 for this awesome game. If you like this video and you found it helpful, please like and also subscribe to my channel, and you can keep updated with as I come out with more Middara or other game videos for you to make your own decisions. But I hope you have a fun time playing this awesome game, listening to the story, and happy gaming.